Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Association of Play Therapy podcast. My name is Elsie, and I'm here with a few other people. Together, we're going to be having a conversation about things to note before becoming a parent. So, I have with me Mr. Samuel, Mrs. Lami, and Miss Jamila. I'm just going to let everyone introduce themselves before we carry on. Mr. Sam.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mr. Sam. As you all heard my name, I'm an early childhood educator. Thank you.
All right.
So you're the expert amongst us.
Ah,
Yeah, you have a master's in early childhood education.
and now my legs are already shaking.
All right, who is going next? Miss Jamila.
Hello everyone, my name is Jamila. I'm not a professional. I'm just sitting in, just enjoying the conversation today.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Lami.
Yeah, I am Lami Gidado. I'm just, in fact, today because you guys are talking about what to know before
Becoming parents.
before becoming parents. So I'm just here to support you.
All right, so Mrs. Lami is actually the professional when it comes to what we're talking about today because she's the parent amongst us. So three of us here are not yet parents.
We're her kids.
We're her kids.
Children.
Learning. But Mrs. Lami has been a parent for many years. In fact, she's a parent of boys. I think that counts for something as a parent. She's a parent of 2 boys. And the rest of us are just privileged to be learning some of these things before we become parents. And we would want to involve others in this learning process that we've been having. So we're basically just going to be learning things together, discussing and improving on the knowledge we have before we become parents. And of course, Mrs. Lami is here to support us with some experience that she has had over the years. So put your hands together for Mrs. Lami. All right, so I'll just get right into the discussion for today. We have 5 points here, 5 things to note before you become parents. So I'm just going to be throwing them in one after the other, and we'll be discussing about it as we go on. So the first thing I have here, it says, play is the language of children, or play is the language of the child. I don't know how we want to start off with that, but what do you think about that statement? How does that influence parenting? Who is going first? Certainly not me.
You're exempting yourself.
I'm just here to throw in the question. So how does that influence parenting?
Well, I think, I'm not sure if it was Plato that said this. I mean, many people know Plato. If you went to school, somehow
Yes.
something about Plato will come up. Did it come up for you, Jamila?
Or Aristotle.
Or Aristotle. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, you should maybe Sam can check it out before we
finish.
We go far. Is it that him? I know I confuse it with Albert Einstein's statement. So I mean, we want to think about why such a brilliant mind will make a statement like that play is the language of children. So one of the first things that comes to my mind when I think about that, I remember on a Sunday we had a trampoline in the house, and the kids were jumping on the trampoline, and I went out and joined them, and they were so excited. I didn't believe how excited they were. And then they kept asking me, next Sunday, are we going to jump again? Are we going to do that together? I feel like they were trying to tell me that I've become too busy. I'm not spending time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's a language that children speak.
Yes.
If you add to that, someone says that if you go to the house of mourning, children are playing. But that's the way that they're processing their grief.
Yeah.
That's a way of processing grief.
Yeah.
So really, those are the kind of things that come to my mind when I think about that.
I'm just thinking about it when you said sometimes you go to a house of mourning and children are playing. I don't know, in our father's generation, I don't know what generation that is, but you would see that parents would say, or maybe a relative can come and say, you just lost your dad and we are jumping around.
Yeah, I remember somebody like that. I remember when I lost my dad.
Yeah.
I was 10.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't fully understand what death was. It was just explained to me that, daddy has gone to heaven, and I cried and cried and cried because I was never going to see him again. But I think the reality of it had not really set in.
Yeah.
And I remember when we went to the village to bury him, and I was pretty much just being a child, and I was scolded. Yeah, I was scolded for jumping around with my cousins, walking up and down. It was like you are supposed to go and sit down inside with them. You don't know that you just lost your dad. I remember, and it made me really cry because I don't think, I really don't even understand what you're actually saying. I don't know if maybe people think 10-year-olds are old
Very
enough
mature.
to
understand
understand certain things. Because I think it took me up to 13 to really understand that, come on, this is it, right?
Yeah.
So I think really in Nigerian culture, we need to understand that kids are kids. They don't really understand these things as we think.
Yeah.
They might cry, but it's the initial, I'm never going to see him again.
Yes.
They don't really grasp
In
that.
fact, I feel like that might be their own level of understanding it. That it's not that they don't realize that something has happened, but that's their way of processing what has happened. Like they're playing out their emotions, and that is how they can let it out. For adults, we can sit, have a conversation. In cases where something really deep happened and maybe you feel like you need to talk to a therapist, and adults can have that conversation with your friend and say, oh, this really sad thing happened, this is how I feel. But for a child, they don't fully know how to put those things into words. So in their play, they kind of express what is going on inside. And if we're saying, oh no, don't play about this is not something to play about, then the child is trying to figure out, how do I let out this emotion that is inside?
Well, the sad thing about what you're saying now is that adults also do not know how to express their emotions. So they are stopping children from expressing their emotions because they don't know the value of expressing it. So in the culture where we are in Nigeria, I mean, think about it. A woman is crying. People are saying, if you are crying, what do you want the children to do?
Exactly. As if she's not allowed to grieve.
Yes.
So definitely, if she's not allowed to express her emotions, then you can imagine, will children be allowed to express their own? That's where, we don't have empathy for children, for us to understand the value of that. Like what Jamila just said about her grief. It's her anxiety, it's too much for her. And so she has to move. What play does is that it makes us move. And when we move, we are reducing anxiety. That's why when you walk, when you run, when you cry, when you move, you're going to reduce anxiety. So that's what children are doing when they play.
I just learned something new. It's not like it's something, at least I just learned the science of behind it, yes. Because I know that even when I watch American movies, maybe somebody's anxious or something, or has so much on their mind, you see them taking, you see them running.
Exactly.
Or you go on a walk or go to the gym and hit some punching bags and all of that.
Yeah, because you know what that does? Whenever you move, you're taking in more oxygen, right? And then if you do,
it calms your
nervous system, your brain is like, so it's like refreshing, and so it's calming your nervous system.
Wow. Science is really complicated and a lot, and then simple at the same time.
Support,
yes. And just to bring us back to, we're talking about parenting, raising kids, knowledge you want to know before you start this journey of raising kids. So I'm wondering, having, this statement, play is the language of children. How would that influence, how you're bringing up the child in terms of setting boundaries, especially for us Nigerians? We've heard a lot of time, oh, this child plays too much and things like that. Understanding that play is the language of the child, how does that help to create like some sort of balance? What would you kind of use play to achieve as a parent with your child?
Sam.
I knew that somebody was going to set me up here. So, as children grow, the likelihood of parents allowing their children to play, it's like really low. In fact, most parents think that, oh, my child playing is wasting time. You hear things like my houser. Forgive me.
Say it anyhow.
You hear that one yaru. This child likes playing too much. But now we come to a point where we start to ask ourselves, is there anything like playing too much for a child? Because like Montessori said, play is a child's work. So it's in that work that the child learns to communicate. So a child is playing, he's trying to communicate something to you. Probably the child tries to build something on the ground with sand and castles and all of that. There's something the child is trying to communicate to you. Sometimes the child might just try to communicate to you that I was born to be an architect. Yes, a child is playing always with drumsticks. He's just trying to say, I was born to be a drummer. I saw a video of a child. I think when the child was still like 2 years, he liked carrying pencils and all of that and hitting different places. I think right now the child is like 7 years, and the parents were knowledgeable enough to know by that age, and they started taking him for practice. Bought him drums at home. I think they bought him drums at home and he was just playing with them, and then they took him more serious, took him for practice, and the guy is playing some things that, man, I'm not sure some adults can play right now. And of course is from the others, is the white guys. Yes. So because sometimes we see Nigerian parents sit down and complain a lot. There are a lot of things that children are telling them through play. It's probably telling you, I'm going to be the next JJ Okocha. We are like, guy, go and sit down at home, go and read your books and all of that. Why can't we create a balance and just try to listen to the play of the child? I remember when we went out on outreach to Genta, and we had this woman who said her child plays too much, and we asked her, okay, what is it? And she said he goes out every time to go and play football. So we asked her a question. Have you ever gone at least to go and watch him play this football? Encourage him. He's trying to tell you something. He's trying to tell you, okay, I have a passion for this thing. So how can you be able to, support that passion? And so, children say a lot.
It's either he's telling you, I'm born to be a JJ Okocha.
Yes.
Or he's telling you, I am overwhelmed with something.
Yes.
And this is how I express.
This is the best place. Yes. This is my happy place.
But I think we just got a new quote from the almighty Mr.
Jesus.
Sam. He said, when a child plays with sand, maybe he's trying to tell you, I was born to be an architect. I really like that.
Wow.
I like that.
I'm flattered.
And one thing I was getting from Mr. Sam while he was talking is being able to listen to the child's play. So for me, I just feel like we need to do a lot of observing when a child is playing. Like, not just feeling that, oh, this child is just wasting time, or I know what you're doing, like I don't need to pay attention. And I was thinking of it like, imagine a scenario where as an adult you're talking, and while you're talking, the people around are just doing different things. Someone is pressing their phone, someone is folding clothes. Nobody is paying attention to what you're saying. It's, for me personally, it's like very frustrating. I'm wondering, I'm trying to say something, you're not listening to me. And I just felt like, well, that's what a child feels when they are either trying to play with me or playing around me and I'm just not interested. I'm just doing my own thing, or even trying to stop them from playing. It's like I'm trying to stop them from talking. And there's like a bridge in communication. So I feel like we need to do a lot more of observing the play, paying attention to, what's really going on? What might this child be trying to say in what they're doing?
Yeah, that's true. I'm just wondering, so maybe just ask all of you.
Yeah.
Have you been able to make a connection between what you are doing now and your childhood play? How do you think maybe the way you play or didn't play has influenced who you have become today and the things that you do, your hobbies?
I think I can think of one.
Okay.
When I was little, there was this neighbor of mine that had a toy set of pots and, like a kitchen set and stuff. And I think that was like one of my favorite toys anytime I went to her house. So I'm just thinking about it to the fact that right now, as a guy, maybe doing kitchen stuff is not so much of a big deal for me. Like, I'll hardly find myself maybe going to the kitchen now to maybe do the dishes and I'm grumbling like, so there's nobody that can do this thing. Like, I feel like it's normal. Like, I can be able to do this thing. And yeah.
So I think, immediately you said that, I just remembered, because up till now, I have cousins who I used to play with a lot, that up till now they would remember those dramas. Because they would say, let's go and play drama.
Yes.
So those dramas. And then they would always laugh. I remember how I always wanted to be the Oga, like
in the drama.
So it's either I'm your mother or I'm your boss or I'm your teacher. It must be me. I must be the primary focus of that. And I've seen how that, and it's like in the dramas, I'm always like telling people what to do. Or maybe it's either it is me that you come to find your rest or your solution, if I would interpret. So, and now it is actually because I think I find myself in situations where I feel like, in my career, I really want the spotlight. That kind of, I want to do my work so well that you say, Jamila, well done. Then I start to feel like, you need me. It sounds quite vain, but it's the truth. It's actually the truth. And even I think in my friendships, I am not so active. So, and it's something that I told myself, this 2026, I'm also cognitive. I don't really put in effort, but naturally, I attract friends. So, and it's like, one person is hurting here, they want to talk to me. And then I find myself being therapist, psychologist, and now, that kind of thing. And I don't think the dots ever connected till now. Because it was when I was thinking, okay, what as a child? And then it just dawned on me that, because my cousins would say, hi, you were so bossy, like always with a cane of, listen to me, that kind of. And now, even though it's not like I am exerting that, I think automatically my brain just feels like, no, I need to. I want to exempt myself. I need to do the right thing. I want to, that kind of thing. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. So sometimes before, when I used to believe in it, I don't know what they call this, zodiac signs. I would read a lot about Leos, and I'm like, oh my God, truly I am a Leo. Leo wants the spotlight, the lion, and I'm like, it's true. No wonder I am like this. It's because I am a Leo.
Wondering that you built that Leo
like from the ground up, basically.
I think while they were answering, I was just kind of thinking of my own play, and I'm like, okay, can I really remember? And so the thing is, when I think of my play, it's so hard to pick like a particular play to say that, oh, I was always playing with blocks, or I was always playing with dolls or something. So if I was to describe the play I did as a child, I would just say disorganized. Like, I played with everything. So at some point in my life, I'm giving more of tomboy vibes. At some other point, I'm now interested in dolls and all of that. I can remember I had these 7 teddy bears. They were like my favorites. I do everything with them. They even had birthdays. And my mom was so playful. So she would sew clothes for them. We'll celebrate their birthdays. She'll make zobo and everything. And I loved a lot of drama. But then I also liked rough play, like climbing trees, playing football with the boys. And then as I started growing, people will now be like, are you a boy? Why are you playing ball? And things. So, but when I look at it, I think I can see a lot of, it's like jack of all trades, master of none, really. Like you're still trying to figure out where you're supposed to be. And as I grew older, especially last year, so 2024, 2025, there was a lot of self-discovery for me. It's like that's when I was trying to pick, okay, what is your niche? Who really are you? Like, I know you're good at this and good at that and good at that, but what do you really want to do? So for me, I feel like from that early years in my play, if a person was observant enough, or observing my play, they probably would have realized that this child seems to be struggling with identity, trying to figure out like who really they are, and I saw that when I grew up, that it's now I'm beginning to kind of try to figure out, okay, what really do I like? Who really am I? What am I called to do? And all of that.
Yeah, because for me, I often tell parents, go back to your own childhood, make the connection with where you're at. Maybe then you can understand the importance of play, and that you were actually trying to use play to communicate to other people. So really, that's what play is, the language of children. That's what it is.
All right. So, if we keep talking about play is the language of children, we'll just go on and on. So let's go to the second point. The second point we have here for things to note before you become a parent is that self-care is important. So I'm just going to expand on that a bit before, we all make comments on it. So self-care is important. Basically, what that is saying is that, especially for the mothers, but fathers as well, but especially for the mothers. Sorry, dear future fathers, but especially for the mothers. So I think our culture kind of puts us in a mold where we feel, as a mother, you need to give, be there for your child, do this for your child, and all of that. And one of the areas we barely talk about is that you also need care for yourself. Your body is going through a lot of changes, your emotions, your mental health, and everything. And we forget that you cannot give what you don't have. So, if you're not caring for yourself, then how do you pour out this care to the children, right? So, we can make comments on that now. What do you think about that statement? And how do you see it play out in parenting?
Well, first of all, I think, let me just say that I feel like all of you are privileged. You've not started, parenting. And so having this information now is important. Many of us didn't know these things, and then the society, it just makes you feel even bad for taking care of yourself. Like you said, especially the woman, because the woman goes through the childbearing and all of that. So as a therapist, I think one thing I can tell parents, as a therapist and a parent, is the fact that you need people around you. You need a community around you. I think that's part of the self-care that is required. I'm sorry to say, but society taught us not to ask for help, as if you're weak when you do. So ask for help. I think that's the main thing I want to just point out. Ask for help. You know, from your family, your friends, your church, your community. Just ask for help.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, you know, the way the society is, how will a mother be able to balance like the whole, I need some time, I need people saying, okay, you just give birth, you just threw your child and left your child with your mother-in-law or your own mother or daycare or something like that. Like, how can like parents balance this?
it.
You have to be bold.
Yeah.
You know, you just said something about the society.
Yeah.
And if you notice, even in your questioning,
Yeah.
you're still influenced by society.
Yeah.
Still influenced by society that, oh, the woman is supposed to be, you know, you should be at home, you should be taken care of. You can imagine if a woman that has a 4-week-old baby decides that I need alone time. I'm going to the cinema to watch a movie. To feel like she's a
terrible mother. Yes.
Which is not fair.
Yeah.
Because you know it's not easy for a woman. You're giving up every other thing. You're taking care of the baby. Your body is changing. The baby is crying all the time and eating and all of that. So you are exhausted. So I think you have to be bold and damn some of the consequences. Sorry to put it that way, but we have to get to that point. I remember when I had my first son, a woman came to the house to see us, and when she came, she saw my husband in the living room bathing our baby.
Yeah.
And she started making fun of him and also scolding me. Why is the man doing this and all of that? But my husband didn't care, of course. He, you know, she can keep talking, he will continue doing what he needs to do. You know, so I think it's boldness. Boldness.
Yeah. And you just, should I say, got into something I wanted to ask. Because sometimes it's good to hear from like if woman's perspective as regards, okay, I just gave birth. How does a husband help out? Like, what will make the woman feel like, okay, my husband is really helping out and I'm being cared for, especially around that time, right? Because the truth is that I think I speak for some men. They mostly don't know what to do, how to be there. Yes.
Because they were not taught. So let me connect it back to what you said about your childhood.
Yes.
You talked about playing with kitchen sets. It was one of your favorite things to do.
Yeah.
You can imagine if as a child you played with a doll. Unfortunately, when we see boys playing with dolls, we collect it and say, are you a girl? And then when he becomes a man, you want him to stay and take care of a baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they should be exposed to some of those things. You should buy things like broom and whatever for children to play with.
Yes.
So that they normalize it.
Yeah.
Right? So it starts from childhood. You can imagine if, as a parent, you begin to groom the child, the male child, to know that it's also part of your responsibility to take care of the children, to help in the house. It's part of your responsibility. The same way a woman will dress up and become a policeman or become, you know. So we're the ones that have sort of stereotyped some of these things.
Created like barriers, like girls do this, boys do this, and remain there.
Yeah.
And
so,
you know,
but sorry, to add to your question, so for me, what I would say is before a woman gets married to a man, you need to ask some of these questions.
Yeah.
And if you can't take it, then why are you marrying him?
I like where this conversation is going.
Yes, because these are the conversations for dating. You know, these days we just speaking for most of the young people.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if he buys me shawarma and pizza and all of that, then boom, we're getting married,
Yeah.
And some of these conversations never come up until you're already married.
Right.
And I was thinking of even the change in society. So I remember there was a time we were having this training. Incidentally, it was with Mrs. Lamy, and you mentioned how there's this hormone, the love hormone. What's it called again? Oxytocin. And the kind of things that can make that hormone to be secreted in a woman. Care, love, having this attention around you, having people help you out. And we were looking at our culture, how, in cultural context. I remember my dad was telling me that in our culture, like back then in the village, when a woman gives birth, or no, I think it's my mom's culture, when a woman gives birth, there's like this normal, should I say, responsibility that falls on everybody. Like the older women know how they are supposed to come in to help her. The younger women know what to do. People cook food, bring, and all of that. The girls in the community come to help her fetch water. So, there's a lot of care coming from the society around you. And that will permit the woman to, have what it takes to be 100% there for the child and all that goes on. But in today's society, it's not that way. Things have changed. We're not living in that community background where people are doing these things for you. And even when you have people coming in to help you, like workers. So in the traditional setting, these people come in, and people that they're your neighbors, they're your sister, cousin, like you have a relationship. There's the love and care. But if it's someone you employed, that emotional connection isn't there. So it can't have the same effect. And yet we expect the woman to be just as, functional as the woman that had all that community and everything around her. So I think even when we are saying, oh, you need to be responsible for the child, of course, you need to be there for the child and all of that. But you also need to have empathy for yourself to know that, okay, I'm not functioning in the world that my mom functioned in. I remember when my mom gave birth to me, she was in a foreign country for the first time. She was even in a French country, and she was still learning how to speak French. So, there were no friends, no family, language barrier. The temperature was very different from where she's coming. So, there was a lot of care that she needed that was way different from what her mother needed. So, just being able to outline the needs that you have and, do things that can work in today's society.
Yeah. True.
All right, so before we take all the time here, let's move to the third point. The third thing to note, it says comparison is toxic. Like comparing your children to the neighbor's children. I think that's something that it shows up a lot in Nigerian homes.
Mama Emeka's son started
Does he have 2 heads?
No, he started working when he was 3 months.
So, okay, I think the first question I'll throw in is, what do we see as comparison? Because maybe I'll start from myself growing up, right? So, okay, I have this relationship with my mom where she kind of gives me the freedom to say certain things that I know normally in a Nigerian home you possibly can't say. But okay, so my mom would always say, this your cousin that did that thing. Does she have 2 heads? See, your brother never does this, and you. And then I would say, oh, mommy, you're comparing me to this person. Stop comparing. And my mom will always say, she doesn't see how she's comparing. Like, she's just trying to teach me, using examples. It's not comparison. So that kind of throws in the question, what really do we see as comparison? At what point do you feel like, oh, I'm being compared?
Comparison is comparison. There's no other definition to it.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So like, I mean, we're honoring your mom, of course, but
Yeah, sure.
for most Nigerian parents, when they compare their children with other children, they feel like they're encouraging.
Yeah.
So to them, that's an encouragement.
Yeah.
But it's about what the child is perceiving. So it comes off on, it comes to the child as you're comparing me with someone else, because you're basically saying I'm not as good as this person. So what does it leaves an indelible mark in the child's heart.
And I think it also forms sort of a mindset for future life, where as an individual, you kind of don't know how to self-reflect and like mark your, I don't know how to put it, like estimate your growth based on yourself. It's like we have to use another person to determine how well we are doing. And that's why you're always, oh, my friend has 2 cars. I need to have 3 to feel that, yes, I'm successful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I think basically as parents, this is me just talking from a professional standpoint. One thing we have to know is that every child is different. Every child is unique in their own way. So we wouldn't expect that because this particular child is behaving this way and my own child is not behaving this way, that means there's a problem. In fact, there are some times when you even talk about development, I think I learned this from Mrs. Lamy, that there are some kind of milestones that if they skip, there's probably an issue somewhere. So it's not all about my child is, I think there was one of my classmates in secondary school that told us that his younger brother at 4 months was tearing chicken lap. I said, Oga, please.
He was passionate about Christmas. He wants to let that meat go.
So it's just learning, even as regards academic performance. Every child is not going to perform the same. In fact, if you yourself give birth to 5 children, all of them will be different.
Yes.
Yeah, even if all of them decided to study the same course.
Even if they are twins, you have twins.
Even if they are twins.
Everybody with his own personality.
Yes. Yeah. So there's individual differences. So I think comparing your child with another child is not wise. Like even the Bible said that he that compares himself with another is not wise. So you are not wise. You are comparing yourself with another person.
Nah, feel attacked.
Come on to the place of wisdom and stop comparing. Yes.
Yeah, but I think, going back to what we were saying about play being the language of children, it still calls for a lot more observation. Observing kids, So, of course, I'm not a parent yet. But then I work with children, teach, and I think one of the things that I've learned as a teacher is to not assume that, oh, I've taught so many classes, I've taught so many children, so all children are the same. All children behave like this. Like to accept that every child is unique, like he said. So instead of just having this assumption of who a child is and how they behave and interpreting all their actions, I've realized that I need to do more observing my children or my students. I usually call them my children, but observing them to see, oh, how does this particular child behave? What are the things that this child will do that will make me know that, oh, you need this or you need that, or, oh, I need to correct this or correct that, so we need to do a lot more learning of our children, one after the other, not assuming that this is it. I've done this before, so I have it all figured out.
Also not expecting that all of them will turn out the same way.
Yeah.
For example, isn't it okay to have a child that is a C student instead of A?
Yeah.
Why must they achieve the A? Like if we sit down and really think about it, what's that madness about?
Yes.
Like, that the child must be the first or second or third. And so in our quests to make sure that they are on top academically. We're missing other
Their
things that they're
gifts.
really, their gifts and other areas that they're really good at.
Yeah.
Somebody's worried about why didn't my son get an A in math? And another parent is like, oh, he got a C, but he plays drums well, or he sings very well.
Yeah.
Maybe he's the next Michael Jackson or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's changing our perspective, right? And not expecting perfection. And I think also, I was just thinking about it, and we should also think about like the parents and, how they became what they became. There was an example you gave. A parent, that's in the last point, a parent might be trying to motivate their child, not knowing that they are comparing. In their head, it's like, yes, at least if I bring 5 of his classmates examples, okay, Sister Labaja is carrying first. Does she have 3 heads and all of that? They think that is motivation, but not knowing that that's comparison, and they learned that from somewhere. So I just said that so that we're a little bit light.
Yeah, definitely. And then they're doing it with the best interest at heart. Like, they are not trying to hurt you. They're actually doing it like for your good and all that. Okay. So this kind of just flows into the next points that I have here. Still kind of on the same note, except that instead of comparing with another person, now you're comparing with yourself. So it says, that's the fourth thing to note. It says your child is not a mini version of yourself. Like, it's not you reborn. And yeah, I think I've seen this show up so many times, in families that I have interacted with. We feel, and I think even for myself at some point. So I know that there were times, something happens at home with mom, and somewhere in my brain, I'm like, okay, when I have my own child, I will. It's like this thing that I wanted to do that you didn't allow me do. My child is going to do it. And then we don't think, okay, what if the child doesn't want to do that thing? So it's like we're trying to relive our own lives through our children.
Or maybe, in fact, sometimes we see that when it comes to profession. I'm a lawyer, my child must become a lawyer. Or maybe I became an engineer and it wasn't paying so well.
So I would never do this.
I would think of another thing I would have wanted to do and make my child
to do
that. Even if you wanted to become an engineer. So I think it goes both ways. Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why parents do that, they're trying to correct some of the mistakes that they made.
Yes.
And they don't want their kids to go through that.
Yeah.
And so they do it out of anxiety of, making sure that my child turns out better. And many times when parents do that, it's subconsciously.
Yeah.
They're not doing it consciously.
Yeah.
Like someone said that the version of yourself that you didn't like, let's say, for example, at the age of 16, there was something about yourself you didn't like. When your child turns 16, you're going to give that child a hard time. Because and it's subconscious.
Yeah.
It's just like anxiety, trying to make sure that they don't experience what you. Unfortunately, how is a child perceiving it?
Yeah.
It all comes back to the perception of the child.
Yeah.
It's really deep.
Yeah, because it now feels like, okay, I should be more concerned about what my child is perceiving than really the motive behind why I'm doing, that particular action. Okay. I'm just thinking about this. There was a time we were having this conversation back at home, and I remember that someone said, I think it was a friend of my dad or so. So we were talking about how sometimes, like, parents get so anxious about their kids, and when the child is growing, you kind of struggle to allow them be themselves. And he casually said, well, he thinks most time like the child is your investment. How you've lived all your life having this investment plan for when I retire, this is what will sustain me. It's like the child is what you prepared to be, your pride and all of that. And while that has some good things in it, it's like, okay, so you keep trying to mold. So it's like you need to realize that, you have this child for some time that you have a responsibility of nurturing, but that child is unique with their own personality, what they would love, their own hobbies, and you just lead them to become the best version of who they are meant to be, not to become a second version of yourself.
True. Okay.
All right, so let's get to the final one, number 5. Number 5 says your attachment style will affect your children. The 5th thing to note.
I feel like we should for this attachment style is something that might take a whole episode. So maybe we just whet some appetites and then because it's very, it has different parts to it, the issue of attachment, and we can't do justice to it in a few minutes.
It's
not possible, but like you said, it's something that parents should know about. Because that's it's about bonding.
All right, so in whetting appetite, would you want to throw in anything else? Mr. Sam wants to save his voice for when part 2 will come.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so we're just going to leave on this note, knowing that your attachment style would affect the kind of children that you are going to raise. And we encourage you to stay tuned, watch out for the part 2 of this podcast, because we're going to be dissecting these points properly in that episode. So we look forward to seeing you, and thank you for staying with us through this conversation. We'll also like to hear your opinions on all of these points that we have discussed. So please drop your opinions in the comment sections, and we would be very happy to interact with you on these matters while you await episode 2. Thank you and bye.
Bye.